lovely people. After a very, very long 2.5 years and a permanent residency later, which I have not told you guys about, but we have permanent residency, more on that later, we finally have all of our stuff from the UK, which is so exciting. It's been a long old journey to get this stuff here, and it has taken way longer than it should have done. We've learned quite a few things along the way. We literally packed up a lot of this stuff 3 years ago, put it in boxes, and then it was another 6 months before we moved to Australia, and then it has been 2.5 years that we've been here, that our stuff has been sat in a storage unit in England. We've made a few bad decisions. So I thought, whilst I go through and unpack and reacquaint myself with some ridiculous stuff, I would go through with you the process, the costs, the lessons learned mainly, and a bit of a debrief with you, because we have a lot to catch up on. Let's get into it. All right, let's get started. I have a few things which I specifically want to find, which is definitely the most annoying and not at all logical way to approach this. But I am a person who is pretty much entirely fueled by impulse, and I can guarantee you that when I get bored of unpacking this stuff, it's going to stay completely packed up until we move house. And then probably the house after that, and then the house after that. But yeah, so first things first, dining chairs, dining table. Then I have a couple of small side tables that I'm looking for. I have a specific vase that I'm looking for. I specifically want to find a surprise as well. There is some of this stuff which, like, we've got a couple of beds which literally I need to unpack them to sell them, but that's not a tonight problem. I'm gonna get into it. I've already found the vase. How good is that as a start? Right. There's also, this is hilarious, a family Bible. This is so funny. So the family Bible I'll show you is actually an amazing piece of family history. It's got all my mum's handwriting on the boxes because she helped me pack it up. This is the vase that I wanted. I am so excited. So this is actually from my granny originally, and we found it when we were clearing out her house, and I've actually seen quite a few of these recently from, you know, more expensive homeware places. Oh, I love this already. I'm really emotional. So this I actually really wanted. I promise I'm not going to go through every single detail in that pile in this much detail. However, this was one of the boxes which I've been like so excited to go through. So this is a family Bible. So it is a Bible, but then also it's where families are supposed to record marriages, births, deaths, that sort of thing, and pass it down through generations. We've only had one set of things be recorded in here. We're not a religious family, but I just thought this feels very historic and very important. What I wanted to do originally was record on our wedding day, Jake and I didn't have a registrar there on the Santorini wedding day. We did it separately later on. So what I wanted to do was use this as the thing which we ceremoniously signed. But we ended up, this was actually in transit at the time of our wedding, so we didn't do it in the end. And it would have been quite difficult to take to Santorini, and probably got covered in sun cream and messy, and yeah, just generally not ideal. But here we are. So we have Thomas Holland and Mary Pettit was married on the 13th day of August 1877. That says there. How incredible is that? So we wanted to, and then we've got children's names, and then you've got deaths as well. And there was also even family portrait gallery and parents' names. So yeah, it would have been absolutely incredible if we'd had this, and I'm still, but it feels very self-important to go from 1877 to then me now. Like, it just feels $2,000 to do that. Let me know, would you do that and then pass it on to your children? And then there's obviously a, gosh, 150-year gap there. I don't know. It just seems strange, but also just so important. Look at this, like it's got the gilded edges. We're gonna treasure that forever. I'm so excited by that. Let's go see what else we have. That's the first box. As I say, promise I won't go on so much about every single box. It's just that one is extra special. I actually didn't realise that I was going to get emotional opening this stuff. Literally the first dining chair that I've opened. And I'm crying. This feels more momentous than I anticipated, actually. Oh, for context, these were my granny's dining chairs. Oh, they're so beautiful. Yeah, these are my granny's dining chairs. So they're the ones which were in the house the whole time we were growing up. Had so many dinners. Sunday dinners and things on these chairs, so to have them full stop is amazing. Having them in Australia, and that was tough to actually hear, and we're talking to a mortgage broker because we wanted to buy a house, and we can buy a house now because we have permanent residency, and all of our stuff is here, and it just feels very like a big moment. Big moment. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And they're not just the most beautiful chairs you've ever seen. Oh. This here is another piece which I've been so excited. Like, it's literally just a from TK Maxx, that's the name of it, in the UK, but I just think it's so beautiful, and I always have a plant on it. I use it as a bedside table for a while. It can be used as a stool. I just think it's gorgeous, and to be honest, getting something like this in Australia is so hard. Like, this would have been, what, £40 in the UK, if that, from TK Maxx. And it's just so, like, one of a kind of vibes. It's amazing. Okay, this is how mad I am, but I'm so excited about some of these things. Bins! It is hysterical. We have not bought bins whilst we've been here because I knew that I had some coming, and they're literally like the cheapest IKEA ones, but I was like, the thought of these just ending up in landfill if we've got some other ones, I was like, no, finally got bins. See, also IKEA boxes. We put off buying those for so long as well. Oh my god, the place is going to be so organised. Right, the real reason I got this box open, this absolute thing of beauty, but also it's absolutely fucked. It needs some brasso or something on it. But it is this brass top gilded table with gorgeous legs, and it is rickety and it is old. It is also from my granny's. I have a feeling, like you can tell from the bottom of it, it's had a life. I have a feeling someone in my family made this. I want to say my granddad, but again, one of my most prized pieces. I'm just obsessed, look at it all. It's all just so special. It's the thing, everything's got a life. Not had any of these for a while, have I? Right, here we've got bedding. So, first lesson learnt, we had some Christmas decorations, so we've got a whole box here of them. Unfortunately, we left some pine cones. So stuff went through customs and quarantine once it got to Australia. And then they check it and they make you beforehand like declare anything that's basically kind of natural materials and might harbour seeds and, you know, woodworm and that sort of thing that might be harmful to the species in Australia, because they are very hot on, you know, all those disruptive species and things like that. I'm not explaining it very well because I'm tired, but you know what I mean. So we thought that we declared everything really well, forgot about pine cones on Christmas decorations. So we got an email saying, right, we've gone through all of your stuff in customs or quarantine, whichever one. Which one do you want to go for? You can either pay for them to be like treated, fumigated, quarantined in Melbourne and then shipped back to Perth for $1,800 for like 2 Christmas garlands and 1 wreath. Or they can pick off the individual, so it was $1,800, or they could pick off all of the individual pine cones and treat them and dispose of them for like $1,000 or something, or they could just chuck the entire garland for $80. So I was like, I can live without those, I will repurchase. Everything else managed fine, and I'm quite surprised, to be honest, because we had quite a few wooden items, quite a few vintage items. There was a few bits which I thought was a bit, not sure, but yeah, I think, well, clearly we got away with it. Yay! This is naughty, we shouldn't have brought these, you're not allowed these. But we keep special corks. So we've got a Veuve Clicquot, which I believe was when we bought our first house. I need to write on the bottom of these. And then this one was just one that so when we were in New Zealand, we just had the best time, and this is really, really nice. So it's #1 family estate. We talk about this all the time. Yay. I'm so glad we paid thousands to bother shipping over these. That box Jake and I have been laughing about for so long, I'm going to leave that until Jake's here to open that with him, because we're going to have such a laugh. Literally like second-hand crockery and stuff from when we were at uni, and like people left them when moving out, and we were so frugal that we were like, no, we're going to keep these like mismatched forks and stuff. This is so heartwarming. I really want to do the rest of this for Jay, but I know that he doesn't enjoy this anywhere near as much as I do. Next one. Okay, I've come across another piece which is very, very, very sentimental, and yeah, makes me very excited. Realistically, there is absolutely no reason whatsoever to unbox it now at all, but I want to. Here we go. Because we won't use it really in this house. So this, my loves, is a chair which my great-grandfather made for my granny as a either 2nd or 3rd birthday present. And yeah, it is just beautiful. It's been recovered a couple of times. This will go in our child's bedroom when the time comes. I'll get it reupholstered in whatever fabric kind of suits the overall room. Obviously you can see, and this is quite, I feel like this looks really English, to have this kind of dark wood, and it might be quite difficult to style with. They're all just such beautiful pieces. I really hope that I can style them in a way that's going to look still contemporary and modern and not look weird. I'm quite confident that I can. Hello. This is my new YouTube background. No, I'm having a break. I'm going to wait for my husband to get home from work, because I have been steaming ahead and opening the most exciting things without him. I say that, most exciting things for me. Realistically, does he care about my granny's chair? Does he think, why do we have a chair for a little Cabbage Patch kid in our house now? Yes, he is thinking that. So I thought I would answer some questions. I've put a little question box on my Instagram and you guys are dutifully filling it, which is good. So, right, let's start with just what we did. So we found out that we were going to get our visa. So we kind of got I can't remember what it was called. Jake got his job offer and then we started applying basically. So we sold our house in the UK, we packed up all of our stuff, drove it all down in a big van to a storage unit in Derby, which is where my parents live. We moved back in with our parents for, I think, 3 months, then moved to Australia. Then we have been in Australia now for 2.5 years, finally got permanent residency, and we were like, right, okay, time to buy a house because we now can buy a house, so we don't need to be wasting money on the rental market. We should probably stop paying storage unit rates and actually ship the stuff over. So very foolishly, we had this stuff in storage in the UK for 2 years and paid thousands to have it all stored, and frustratingly, so much of it, like you've already seen, there's so many things which we could have just got away with not shipping over. Some things like this furniture, obviously everything that I've unboxed so far is the stuff which I'm so excited to have, the stuff which we would want to ship over, but I kind of wish we'd just done it then, because the amount, we were like, oh, it's a bit expensive to ship it over, we'll put it in storage instead. Storage cost the same amount as shipping it, and then we ended up shipping it in the end anyway, just money wasted. Oh well, we live and we learn. The other very important thing, which is another lessons learned here, is because we have shipped this more than 12 months after leaving the UK / arriving in Australia, it's no longer considered like an overseas move. It was just considered like shipping stuff from one place to another, which means that customs fees or customs tax are very different. We are currently waiting for our customs tax bill to come in and I am dreading it. We had to state how much everything was worth, partly for insurance reasons and partly for customs tax reasons, and they will just deliver us a nice little customs tax bill. So if that's come in, or whenever it comes in, I will either add it on screen somewhere here, or I'll put it in the description box or a pinned comment or something just to let you know what kind of amount it was. But yeah, I am dreading that coming through. Somebody asked if they ship a load of wood stuff, will it be okay? Will it get damp or anything? So far, everything that we've got out, nothing smells damp. There's no like watermarks or anything on any of the boxes, which I was surprised about. Some of them are a little bit squished down, but that could be from being sat for 2 years in a storage unit, quite possibly. Yeah, everything's in perfect condition, nothing I thought everything would smell fusty, it doesn't, it's still perfect. We have our first casualty. It's a vase, and I seem to recall, so I'm going through all of my vases, and I think this was my favourite. I think it was like a rounded one. A lot of these are I've got this one, which is like a standard cylindrical one. Sadly, this one did not make it. I'm going to chuck him straight in the bin. Sad. How blooming surreal is this? So strange. Ignore this. This is our old dining table. Taking photos of it for Marketplace, and then I'm just going to take these legs off. But yeah, this is the beautiful dining table from my granny's. It's a drop leaf one. And then we've got these stunning Urkel chairs. So these are they've still got the Urkel sticker on. They're from 1960, and then we've got this rattan dresser which I had in my old house, which yeah, looks beautiful. I'm not sure if Monstera Boy's staying down here. I repotted him last week and think he needs a bit more light, so he does work quite nicely here. Okay, so as I unscrew this, by the way, I do have laundry on, so hopefully it's not too noisy. I'm going to answer some of your questions that you've asked about this. So there was a lot of questions about who we used, whether they were any good, would we recommend, how much did it cost, what the process is. So we used PSS Removals. Jake actually found them and they came up really well recommended, and we actually found them to be really, really good. Like everything was very smooth, really good communication. It took us quite a long time, so I'll go through time frames in a second, but we did go for a slightly cheaper option with a shared container because we were like, we've been without this stuff for like 3 years already. Does it matter if it's another 3 months rather than like a month for everything to come over? No, not really. Costs, let's start there. So we already had all of our stuff in a storage unit, so we already knew roughly what the square meterage or cubic feet amount was. Don't ask me, I can't remember. But from our quote, it looks like it was under 250 cubic feet. We had a shared container unit, which means that so instead of them putting all of your stuff in and sending it straight away, to keep the cost down, they wait until that whole shipping container is full. So basically they tend to wait until like 1 or 2 other like families moving stuff is in the container and it's completely full, and then they seal it up and send it off. So we waited quite a while for that, and that was one of the main reasons we waited. So our costs were £3,226 to ship over the container. That included the professional export packaging of everything. So you've seen as I've been unpacking everything, a lot of this stuff was just loose in the storage container. We had boxed up stuff ourselves, but we'd boxed it up with it in mind that we were going to be coming back to it. So we thought that we were going to be in Australia for 1 to 2 years, not longer. And we didn't anticipate moving everything over. So we just packed it up as we would for a kind of within the UK move. So somewhat carefully, but not carefully enough for overseas moves. So yeah, they went back through all of our boxes and repackaged everything pretty much and itemized everything for customs. And yeah, they were really good for that. Thankfully, I'm not completely useless, and I'd written on all of the boxes what everything was. And then when we were back in the UK for a couple of trips, we went back to the storage container and made a list of all of our items, like an inventory of all of our items, to then declare it for customs, because we had to provide that to the shipping company. So yeah, something to bear in mind, even if you think that you're moving for a year, as you pack things up, have a list next to you and make a list of everything that you're packing up as you do it. It will make it so much easier later down the line, and just package everything as carefully as possible. Or ideally, if you're not doing it in the silly slapdash way that we did, you would have the removals company come to your house and then they will package everything up perfectly from the beginning. And yeah, everything was packed so well. We've only had 2 casualties that we've found so far. One of them was a glass which Jake broke after I'd unpacked it and left on the floor. And the other one was a vase which didn't make it, sadly. But that was my packing efforts. They hadn't repacked that box. So yeah, that was the cost of the shipping. Plus there was quarantine inspection charges and port infrastructure fee, which was an extra $279. All in, we're looking at about £3,500. Within that, I've obviously not included our storage fees, which were, I think, £200 to £300 per month. And we had it in there for 24 months. I'll let you do the maths because I don't want to. So timescales. We placed the order on the 23rd of May this year. They collected it from the storage unit the 2nd of June, so like a week later. On the 23rd of August it was dispatched, so it left England, which is about 2.5 months later. Took 3 weeks on the ocean, so we did it all by ship, I should add that as well, which takes longer but it's a lot cheaper. So it was 3 weeks for it to get into Perth from England, which I think is quite quick actually. 1 week later it had been inspected by quarantine and the item had been flagged. And then on the 29th of September it was delivered to me. So total duration from placing the order to having the stuff in my hands was 4 months. So yeah, not too bad, I don't think. As I say, that first part, the bit that took 2.5 months, could have been expedited had we paid more for it to come out straight away rather than the shared container. Okay, so there was a lot of questions about why do we wait so long. So I feel like we've kind of touched on it, but essentially because when we first moved, we thought we were coming for 1 to 2 years to try it, and I kind of thought that I would really miss home and really want to be at home. But as it happens, I'm really, really enjoying it here. Absolutely love the lifestyle. And yeah, we see ourselves being here for long enough to move all of our stuff over. We got permanent residency, which is extremely exciting. We actually got that a few months ago, I think it was June, but it was in the middle of wedding planning, and it just kind of, like, the celebration of it kind of got lost a little bit, which is very strange, and it felt very surreal. And I've got to say, for me, having all of our stuff arriving has made it feel so much more real and momentous, and like, whoa, we've actually like made a decision and done a thing, which is what I was scared of doing before, which is why we went through the whole rigmarole of putting things in storage and stuff. So it's one of those where, like, hindsight is excellent, and I kind of wish we'd have known, and then I could have made a better decision to begin with, and we would have saved a lot of money, but I just didn't know, and I needed to wait until I knew in my own mind and heart, and yeah, just came round to it eventually, which took me longer. Poor Jake, it must have been so frustrating for him, because it's been his dream forever, but he's been so patient with me and just amazing, as he always is. And then someone else has said, do you really need it now? So yeah, this is where the regrets come in. So absolutely do not regret all of the stuff which you've seen me unboxing so far. I do not regret bringing it over. Like, need is a funny word, isn't it? Like, obviously we didn't need dining chairs, we didn't need a dining table, because we had these, which were always bought as temporary things from Facebook Marketplace. I'll put them on Facebook Marketplace again to pass them on to the next person. And they were very much like not what I would choose. Like, I just didn't spend the money on getting the sort of thing that I would actually like. I just got some chairs and a table. But yeah, so all of this stuff, do not regret bringing it over. It's also meaningful and amazing that it's now mine. Like, can't believe it. However, because we didn't have the foresight that we were leaving, like, we chucked out a lot of stuff. Obviously we had a 3-bed house and we had a lot of stuff which we sold and stuff, but there is so much. Like, everyone else who moved to Australia, who we know, came over with literally like 2 suitcases, or maybe shipped over like some key bits of furniture, but they weren't shipping over IKEA glasses, they weren't shipping over their second-hand cutlery and a fucking pastry brush and all of these things, which is just not important at all. So that's where the regrets come in. I wish we'd gone through everything more thoroughly and scrapped the stuff that we couldn't replace, because a lot of stuff we have replaced now, because we've been living here for 2 years. A lot of things that we could have done without shipping, and obviously the less we shipped, the less it would have cost, and the smaller storage unit we could have got, and therefore the less we would have spent on storage as well. So there's that. But yeah, a few people have said, what do we wish we brought but didn't? And to be honest, nothing. There's been a few things which, there's only a few things which you can't get here. I've been asked about like clothes and shoes and stuff, so I do think that shopping at home in England is generally better. Like, the stuff that's like the Australian style is amazing and beautiful, but especially if you're moving to Perth, where everything is very, it's just hard to come by. It takes a long time for things to arrive, and the choices are a lot smaller because Perth is so remote. So yeah, there's a different kind of calibre of things that you can get, but you can still get everything you want. It just, there might be less choice, or you might have to wait a bit longer or whatever. So in the grand scheme of things, it's fine. Yeah, I can't actually think of anything. There's nothing yet where I'm like, oh, I wish we hadn't got rid of that. Like, there's been a lot of things that we've been living without for 2 or 3 years. Like, things, silly things like a pestle and mortar, which we didn't want to buy a second one of here because we've got one somewhere in those boxes. So we've just been doing without, and things like that are going to be life-changing, but they are readily available here. So, okay, what items would we recommend shipping that it's expensive to buy in Australia? So, again, it's not so much, things are expensive, so like furniture is expensive, and I know some people say that there's less selection, or it's just not as good, it's not as well made, everything's a bit more, I don't know, I feel like England has a few really good quality pieces. I would say if you want any vintage antique furniture, like there is no chance in Australia that you'll get it for a decent price. It is ridiculously expensive. So if there's anything like that, ship that over, because you are not going to be able to replace that for less than £1,000 a chair or whatever. It's ridiculous. But in terms of like sofas and stuff, I do feel like things are generally not as well made, or they're more expensive, and you have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for them to be made over East and then get shipped over. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people struggling with that. So furniture, big items of furniture, so your sofa, your bed, that sort of thing, I think bring that over if you still like the ones that you've got. Everything else I feel like you can just easily replace. We got loads when we first started out here in Kmart and Target, and they're genuinely really, really nice. Like their designers are incredible, really well priced, and they last a decent amount of time, especially for decor bits. Absolutely fine. All right, so I have dismantled the table and answered all of the questions, so I'm gonna leave it here, I think. Obviously I'll keep showing you little snippets. I might show you how I've styled up this dining room area once it's finished. But yeah, I really hope that was helpful. I'll put a few details below of who we used and a few specifics. But yeah, I think that's everything. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, I'll jump on whilst I'm unpacking if anyone asks any other questions, I guess. Bye, wish me luck. Something else I've been so excited to get, this vintage camera. And instantly I'm getting very into film photography. Or she says. Literally have used what, like 4 disposable cameras, and now I'm like, I'm really into film photography, hoping to get into. Just gorgeous. I want to have it on a beautiful shelf one day with a load of other vintage cameras. Oh, it's so stunning. It is times like this that my personality becomes insufferable. I have a lot of vim and vigour for starting tasks and absolutely none for finishing them and tidying up after myself. So I keep opening boxes, looking in them, being like, oh yeah, 1 or 2 things that I want, and then shoving stuff everywhere. It's broken. Never mind.